In 2015, when Disney got set to begin releasing what would come to be a seemingly never-ending onslaught of Star Wars content, they had a goal that, while mostly unspoken, rang loudly in their creations. Disney had no intentions of being the prequels. Their first TV release was Rebels in 2014, which followed a small band of rebels, very creative naming, at the dawn of the rebellion. The only thing tying it to the prequels was the presence of Ahsoka Tano and some other Clone Wars characters that made cameos. Even then, the Clone Wars and Ahsoka herself were generally seen by fans as the brightest spot of the prequel era. It was in 2015, though, that Disney's first two big releases came: Star Wars Battlefront and The Force Awakens, both of which were drenched in the original trilogy. TFA, as we're all aware, basically tried to retell A New Hope. A character on a desert planet comes into possession of a droid that has data the bad guys are looking for. Said character is a gifted pilot and is force sensitive. Different good character broken out of prison. Character escapes desert planet on the Millennium Falcon. Character forms a bond with an old man who introduces them to the Force and then lets himself get killed. Bad guys blow up a planet with a super weapon to showcase their power. Good guys meet up at a rebel base. Good guys launch assault on bad guys' planet-killing space station against a ticking clock and blow it up with a trench run seconds before time runs out. This movie looked at A New Hope like it was a recipe and basically got all of the ingredients, but didn't bother to read the step-by-step instructions on how to combine them, and came out with just a messy combination of raw chicken over uncooked pasta covered in heavy cream and cold broccoli. But at the time, it succeeded. People were fooled by TFA, including me, and looked forward to the future of the franchise. On the battlefront, see what I did there? Yeah? Hold up, let me just check this off right here. Okay. Anyway, on the battlefront, the game acted as though the prequels didn't even exist, including only maps from the OT. This, of course, was a bit overkill to avoid the prequels in a multiplayer video game with no story that sucked, and people did take some issue with it, but it again made Disney's intentions clear. They were not going to be the prequels. 1 year later, Disney cashed $1 billion check with a movie based around one perceived plot hole from A New Hope. The only Disney Star Wars movie that holds up as decent is about a vent. Oh, Disney's still living off the OT, still dissociating itself from the prequel trilogy, still flying high with the new $4 billion toy. But then, something changed. Very suddenly, Star Wars wasn't flying high. In fact, it nosedived off a cliff so fast it probably felt a sense of pride and accomplishment doing it. Oh man, TLJ was so bad I had forgotten this happened a month beforehand. Rough holiday season, eh, Disney? The Star Wars IP fell so far so fast that the next movie actually lost money. In fact, it lost more money than the entire OT cost to make. So what do you do after you hire someone to kamikaze your franchise, and perpetuate the stereotype that Asian women can't drive, who spends his time doing the Twitter equivalent of throwing his own feces at anyone who pointed out that his movie was written about as well as an illiterate LSD-addicted koala's Twilight fanfiction? Even the actors hated it. What do you do when large swaths of your fan base agree that the once detestable prequels you were so determined to dissociate from are better than the incoherent, diuretic dumpster fire of a trilogy you created? Well, what any respectable creative organization would do is slow down, take a step back, return to the drawing board to create new projects from newly generated ideas. But that takes time, patience, and some sense of creative thought. Things you can't necessarily just buy. And that's not really Disney's style. Disney prefers to produce movies and shows that simply expand on the ideas that better creators before them came up with. Or they just remake their own IPs, except bad and based it in divisive identity politics. So with Star Wars, since they crushed the golden goose that was the original trilogy, they decided they'll settle for reminding people of the hated prequels. Let's think, what major projects did they do after The Rise of Skywalker? We got Fallen Order and its sequel, games about the aftermath of the Jedi Purge. We got The Mandalorian, which has turned into a show about a character from the Clone Wars, an offshoot show from the prequels. They finished the Clone Wars. The Bad Batch, an offshoot of the Clone Wars. The Book of Boba Fett, where Disney tried unsuccessfully to poach one more character from the OT. Kenobi in all its glory, literally beginning the show with a "Remember the prequels?" Andor, the only show that had almost entirely original characters and ended up being by far the best one. And most recently, Ahsoka. They're even just regurgitating lines from the prequel memes subreddit.
Hello there. Say the line, Bart!
Hello there.
But there's one specific element from the prequels that they are milking like Fidel Castro's super cow, and that's Order 66. I used to really like Order 66. It was cool. It was the culmination of Palpatine's master plan. In one command, he wiped out almost the entire Jedi Order. It showed how devious and patient Palpatine was. I've always thought that part of why the Jedi didn't conclude that he was
a Sith Lord
was because they remembered when he was just a low-ranking senator. He was patient. He rose slowly in the ranks of the Republic's political structure. He started a war with control over both sides. He built a secret army for the Jedi that they needed to fight for the preservation of the Republic. Then, at the right moment, with one command,
he turned the Jedi's own army against them.
Then he survived being thrown down a reactor shaft, exploding again, made a bunch of Force-sensitive clones, raised a huge new army without anyone noticing that had Death Star ships, kept a stadium of people to chant for him as he sat in darkness, hooked up to a machine doing nothing, chose an arbitrary time to decide to take over the galaxy, and sent out a tweet 4 days before he was going to do it, telling everyone he was back. Yeah, I still want my ticket cost reimbursed for that one. But yeah, Order 66 was pretty awesome, and most people tend to agree on that, I think. So Disney said, oh, you like Order 66? Well, we can do that.
You want me to punch it? I can do that!
So they did it. And then they did it again. And again. And again. And again. I kid you not, they rehashed Order 66 5 times in 3.5 years. Sometimes they did it well.
We move out from Magito shortly.
Yes!
You must...
Master, are you okay?
Something is...
No! No!
Portraying the terror and confusion a young Padawan would feel in the midst of it. Seeing his master die to protect him.
Hold the line. Wait for the Jedi Council signal. Remember, trust only in the Force.
Yes, Master.
Sometimes they did it very well.
Rex?
No.
I'll do it.
Rex, what's happening?
Stay back!
Find him. Vibes.
Find him!
Driving home the camaraderie between some Jedi and their clone troopers.
So what do? Find our way to the shuttle?
There are too many. Besides, I don't want to hurt them.
Emphasizing the depth and completeness of the betrayal that occurred.
This ship is going down, and those soldiers, my brothers, are willing to die and take you and me along with them.
And exhibiting why Ahsoka Tano has such goodwill with fans.
You're a good soldier, Rex. So is every one of those men down there. They may be willing to die, but I am not the one who is going to kill them.
Sorry, had such goodwill with fans. Sometimes they did it meh, because how else would you start off a show about defective clone troopers, I guess? It had kind of lost its luster by this point. Sometimes they really did it just to do it. And sometimes they did it with a Parkinson's patient holding the camera. Ha 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 ha! Anakin left her alive, cause lol, why not, I guess. They did it so many times that you start to wonder, like, was it even a big deal? It used to be a testament to how awesome Yoda and Obi-Wan were that they survived it, because they were the only ones. And Ahsoka would have survived because, she wasn't a Jedi anymore, and wasn't anywhere near any clones when it happened. Before they went back and made Season 7, of course. But now this guy, Kelleran Beck, I guess is his name, he survived. Baby Yoda survived. Kanan survived. Reva, Cal, Terran Malicos, Eno Cordova, this random Padawan. Why is that the case? How is it that all the survivors are younglings and Padawans? Sure, their masters helped them escape, and then those little losers that couldn't fight the clones evaded the Inquisitors for a decade or more?
All right.
So many Jedi seem to have survived Order 66 that there are 2 in the same town on a backwater desert planet. The problem of Disney destroying elements from the original films is pervasive, and I could have picked from a number of different examples. I chose to focus on Order 66 for 2 reasons. 1, it highlights that Disney is desperate to even be comparable to the prequels. And 2, as I said earlier, Order 66 used to be really cool. But at this point, I almost question if it even happened. It's like if you weren't at the Jedi Temple or leading an active battle when the order was given, you were fine. They took this awesome event and undermined it so many times that it's lost all its significance. All because Disney is a pathetic conglomerate of creative leeches that has abandoned its once great tradition of creating timeless stories for generations to enjoy in exchange for using better creators' ideas to push political agendas and reductionist stories. And since they devoured everything to do with the OT so quickly, they're desperately trying to be these.
Now this is pod racing.
I don't like sand.
You turned her against me! You have done that yourself! You will not take her from me!
The fun part is eventually they'll have taken all that they can from the original stories, and the franchise will really begin to eat itself in the few original characters it did make. And if I can't enjoy the Star Wars, fine, I'll settle for enjoying the collapse. Hey there, if you enjoyed this video, be a friend, tell a friend. If you really enjoyed it, you can subscribe to the channel, and I'll airdrop messages to your house Hunger Games style whenever I release a new video. And if you hated this video, why don't you send your complaints to Movie Bob this time, and he'll tell you that you're subhuman, or invite you to the next eugenics convention, or something. Yeah. Anyway, Merry Christmas.
Adios, muchacho!